Hey, what's up YouTubers? Lee John Blackmore here at Super Easy Guitar. So this week I've got another tips lesson for you. Now it's how to develop your ear. Now I certainly don't have perfect pitch, but ever since I was able to play the guitar, I've always been able to pick out notes, and that's what allows me to learn songs by ear, okay? And it's a very, very important thing to have in your arsenal, because when you want to, if you're in a room with other musicians and you want to pick something up quickly, you want to learn something quickly, it's a very handy tool to have. Now, there will be points when you're learning stuff when you won't actually be able to see a chord. So sometimes, you know, if you're more advanced, you'll be able to look at a chord and go, oh, that looks like, if the tuning's correct, that looks like an A major. You'd be correct. And that looks like, any ideas what that would be? So that's a C major, okay? So hopefully you're at the stage where you can kind of recognize these chord shapes. Certainly the open chord shapes is very important. And then kind of just the basic bar chord shapes up here, okay? But before we even get into thinking about what chords are, really the first thing you should be able to do, and I get everyone to do this, is be able to work out what notes are ringing out on the guitar just open. So for example, so if I said, what note is this? And you don't know what note I'm playing. If you said the top E string, the thinnest string, you'd be correct, okay? And then, you know, if I covered it up, and yeah, you've already seen my hand, but if I did this, now what do you think that is? Now, some of you might have said the bottom E, but actually, I was hitting the A string. So this is something you can test yourself, okay, by picking out the random chords, B or G or A, E, top E. Okay, so you should be able to do that and now test yourself. I do it to my students all the time. I'm sure they hate it, but you know, they get really good at it. Okay, and kind of the next level from that, I always talk about this, and I always talk about just learning the notes just on one string. Just learning the note alphabet just on one string. Why? Why should we know this, you ask me? I just want to play songs. Well, you know, I just wanted to play songs as well. But because there was no YouTube when I was around, and it was hard to get books or videos or whatever, we just had to listen to music and try and work out what was going on, okay? And, you know, I didn't necessarily need to know the notes for that, but as I've been a teacher over the past, 20 years or whatever, I've realized it's a very powerful and important part of learning. So this is what you should know, okay? So we've already been through the open strings. Now, if you know the names, test yourself, brilliant. Get your friends to test yourself. It's actually good fun, right? The other thing is, just from open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., up to 12. So bottom E is open E, okay, and then the 12th, that's your first octave. So that means there's 8 whole tones, oct meaning 8. And then at the 12th fret, there's E, and it starts all over again. So it'd be open E, F, F sharp, G. If I went up to the 12th fret, it'd be E, F, F sharp, G, okay? 12, 13, 14, 15. But you've just got to know these notes down here. Don't worry so much about the high ones, right? So I'll go through them very quickly. I've done this in lots of lessons, so you should know it. Here we go. Open E, first fret is F. Now people ask me, why is there no E sharp? Well, E sharp and F, they actually share the same characteristics, okay? They're the same note. Okay, it just depends what key you're in. We can get into that later on. Don't worry about it for now. Okay, it's kind of simple, but let's not think about it in this lesson. Okay, when we've got this down, we can go and think about the theory behind it. This is just basic stuff. Okay, so E, F, F sharp, G. We're on the 3rd fret. G sharp, A. Now we're on the 5th fret. A is in the middle. So make a note where we got these dots, or I've got these motifs here. Try and use them as kind of shortcuts, okay? So my first one's G, my second one's A, okay? So I'm on the 5th fret. 6th fret is going to be A sharp. 7th is B. Now 8th is C. Why is there no B sharp, I can hear you ask? Well, it's the same as C, just like the F sharp, the E sharp and F. Jeepers, I'm confusing myself now. So, B sharp and C are the same note. E sharp and F are the same note. That's the only rule you have to remember, okay? You could make up a rhyme, you know, B and C sat in a tree, you know, whatever you want to do, okay? So 8th fret is C, 9th fret is C sharp, 10th fret is D, D sharp, E. We're on the 12th fret again. So what's the importance of this? Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to hide the guitar and I'm going to play you guys a note. And what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to find that note on your guitar. So you're going to need your guitars on your laps. Now check this out, you'll surprise yourself. So what note is that? Okay, and you just have to match it. See if you can do it. Okay, now I'm going to reveal it. It was the 5th fret. Everything's going to be on the bottom E string, okay? So the 5th fret, it's A. Even if you couldn't remember the name of the note, if you had your finger on the 5th fret, perfect. Let's do another one, okay? Now that's quite low, okay? That's quite low down the fretboard. Any ideas what it is? Well, if you were doing this to work it out, you'll be there all day trying to do that. It was actually F. It was the 1st fret. So the thing to do is when I play a tone, and I want you to do this and test yourselves as well, what I want you to do is start on the open, on the lowest note, okay? So the open is always going to be the lowest note. Then work your way up. But just work your way up off the dots if you like, you know, rather than doing that can get really confusing, okay? If it sounds like a higher note, there's a distinct difference between that and, I'm trying to hide my fretboard from you guys, and so the first one is like a high note, so you know it's going to be in the higher register on the higher frets, and then the lower one is going to be on the lower frets. Any ideas? Sorry, what notes I'm playing here? There's 2 there, it's a little bit harder. So the first one, the high one, is C sharp. Okay, and the second one was F sharp, okay, the 2nd fret. So I was on the 9th fret and the 2nd fret. So really what you want to do is test yourself on doing this kind of thing. Now I can't do it right now because of copyright reasons. What I wanted to do is just play you a couple of tracks and show you how I would pick up on them, okay? So instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a chord and then you're going to tell me what chord it is, right? So here we go, and I'm going to try and keep it nice and easy. So now you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't tell you what that is. I can't tell you what note to work out. But what I want you to kind of zone in on with your ears is the very first note I hit. It's going to be on the bottom E string, so it's going to be that note. Remember, we just learnt the notes on the bottom E, so it's going to be that one. So what I want you to do, I want you to go up your fretboard as I'm playing that chord, or start low, like I said, remember, and see which one sounds the nicest with this chord. If you still don't know, just rewind this section and have another go. Okay, here we go. If you said the 3rd fret, G, you'd be correct. Let's do another one, okay? So already we can hear that's higher. Focus on the lowest note. Because if you can get the lowest notes, what we call the root, that's the secret into knowing what chord it is, okay? So really, we just want to know the note. If you said it was the 7th fret, B, you would have been correct. Okay? And so hopefully you did this. You went na 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 na. And it often helps. I know that not all of you sing, you know, and not all of you use your voice like you should, but have a go at this. Because if you can match the note, na or la, la, it's really easy. La, 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 and it'll sound the same. La, la, la. Okay? So that's kind of, yeah, your neighbors might think you're a bit crazy, but don't worry about them. Don't worry about that, okay? So what happens then? So you can guess the notes, all right? We've done that exercise, test yourself. It might not happen straight away. I find with my students, some people get it really quickly. Some people, it takes them a few weeks, okay? But practice it, because it's practicing, you know, do it with your eyes closed. It's practicing to listen. Now, if you can't listen, then you will struggle to play music, because music isn't visual, it's all about sound. And everything we do on YouTube is visual. And I want to change the way you guys think about that, okay? I want you to not have to rely on these YouTube videos to be able to work out songs. And you might think, well, what's the point in that? Because we're always going to have YouTube, but you know, you might be somewhere, like I said, where you're with another musician and you just want to pick something up quickly. You know, maybe you're watching someone on stage and you think, oh God, I really want to work that out. Do it with your guitar in hand and, you know, you'll be laughing. You'll get, as soon as you've done it a few times, you'll pick it up. Now, the next thing to do is decipher whether it's a major or a minor. Now, this is quite difficult, okay? But when you get into it, it's really easy. So here's the first one. Is it a major or a minor? Is it a happy chord or a sad chord? So no longer do you have to work out the note. I just want you to tell me if it's a happy or sad chord. To me, it's blatantly obvious. It's a happy chord. It's a D major. So if I play the minor next to it, you can really hear it's a minor then, okay? Let's do another one. So is this happy or sad? And sometimes I think about colors. What kind of color would this chord be? It would be a darker color, which would usually mean it's a minor, okay? It's actually A minor. The major, there you can hear it's a lot happier. It's almost like a red. We got a D, maybe like a yellow. G, maybe a green. So you can relate them to colors as well if you hear them like that. So there's your yellow, so it's D, and a bit darker than yellow, but still happy, it's red, and then there's your green, there's your G. So I was just playing D, yellow, A, red, and G. So, you know, what about this one? It still sounds quite... You've got some happy notes in there, but then you've got this... That's quite sad, right? So even if you don't know the name of the chord, it's no big deal. You just have to listen to it and think, well, that's happy, or that's sad, or happy, and then sad. It's just being able to recognize those without seeing them, being able to listen to it and think, oh, that's a minor chord, that's a sad chord. Any idea what chord this is? Well, it's a minor, isn't it? It's definitely a minor. Now what I want you to do, using your technique that we are showing you earlier, trying to work out what chord it is, I want you to try and find the note, what note it was rather, not chord, but I want you to find the first note of the chord. So hopefully you said it was C, the 8th fret on the bottom E string. Now we already established it was a minor, and you've got the first note, which is C, so therefore it's a C minor, and that's how simple it is. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, so the first thing to ask yourself is that a major or a minor? Let's listen. It's not dark, is it? It's a light color. It's a red. Okay, and then we want the first note. So we've established it's a light color, it's a major. Now, I know everything isn't always as black and white as major and minor. There's sevenths and ninths and augmented and diminished. We've got all these other things to consider. But we're just learning here, okay? We're just learning the basics. This is just to help you work out the first chord, okay? So here we go again. So we've established it's a major. If you said the 5th fret on the bottom E string, you were correct. And that note is A. So therefore, it was an A major I was playing. Now, how does this help me? Well, if I'm listening to a song, you know, whether it's just a bass line, it doesn't matter what kind of music it is, dance record, jazz record, it doesn't matter. I'm always listening for those, for those lower notes. Okay? Yeah, like I said, I don't want to give you an example because of the whole copyright thing, but try it, okay? So put on your favorite record that perhaps you know the chords to, okay? It could be anything. You know, even off one of my videos, it could be like a 3-chord song. Doesn't matter what it is, but see if you can work out what that first note is. Now, even if they're open chords, you know, that D, you'll hear it. So try and match the chords to the notes. So you start to build a relationship between them. Because there's lots of different Ds, okay? There's D, D, down there, yeah? Instead of playing F sharp. So there's lots of different, you know, the notes just repeat all over the fretboard, okay? But it's getting used to hearing that pitch. And here's C, 8th fret, okay? And then C chord. So if you're still having trouble hearing the relationship between the note and the chord, then don't worry, it's completely normal. Just keep going with it, okay? See if you can sing it. La, la, okay? In key, unlike me, all right? And then D, na, 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 na. That's how to train your ear. The very basics at the beginning. Go slow, start with the open strings. Start with this alphabet, this musical alphabet on the bottom string to start off with, and work your way through it, okay? Hope that's been informative, guys. I hope it helps you out. I really do. And, you know, keep at it. Don't feel like you don't understand this and you can't hear it. It will come. Keep going with it, all right? And for some people, it's natural to pick these things up quicker than others. So if your friends are going, oh, yeah, it's really easy, don't worry about that. Nothing was really that easy for me either. It took years and years to kind of develop it, and I didn't have a teacher either, okay? So go slow, do it in your own pace, and don't be overwhelmed by all this crazy theory and stuff, all right? Use it to enjoy the guitar and learn more songs. Hope you enjoyed this week's lesson, guys. Please don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you'd like to receive my weekly updates. There's some links below to a Spotify playlist I've done, and you should know by now I've got my Instagram link and all the rest of it. If you'd like to support me over on my channel here, I don't get paid a lot for these lessons, despite what people think. I definitely don't get paid for the covers, okay? So if you'd like to send me any tips, I've set up a little donation button on my website. Much appreciated, guys. And let me know how you're getting on. I always love to hear from you, and I'll see you again the same time next week. Enjoy.